Hey, what's up, guys? Back on the charger. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and I am still after this thing. It is getting down to the wire, pun intended, but I am hooking up my Dakota Digital RetroTech control box, and I wanted to show you guys how all this works. It's actually really cool. So you don't, as you may know, I'm using an American Autowire full car wiring kit. It does deviate from stock or originality, but that's fine. I wasn't about to use a 55-year-old wiring harness to wire this car. Just wouldn't be a smart idea. Although I would love the originality, it just wasn't in the cards. So I did get a really cool stock looking gauge cluster that isn't 55 years old, and this is from Dakota Digital, and they don't sell the bezel, like the plastic outer part, but as you can see, it's got a TikTok tack in it. It's actually a digital / analog kit. It's quite pricey, as you can imagine. Everything that says Charger or Dodge is pricey these days, but it's really cool. It's got tons of functions. It's got rev. You can go back and see trend data from RPM, speed. It's even got shift lights. I mean, it's got everything you can imagine. All the stock features, obviously, like brake warning lights, and so it's really neat. One thing you do not use in the American Autowire kit is the oil pressure sender wire and the water temp sender wire, and of course the speedometer input from the factory or the American Autowire kit. So the Dakota Digital system comes with a speed sensor that hooks onto your factory speedometer input in the side of the transmission. It turns it into a square wave, and basically a twisted pair comes out of that. So you run that in the car. Same thing for the water temp sensor and oil pressure transducer. All that's supplied with the kit. They even give you a bunch of different adapters and stuff to make it work in your car. It's really well thought out. The only thing that I was disappointed about with this kit is there's no air fuel setup in it, so that you can't basically monitor air fuel with this kit or like through the dash cluster. So that is one downside I did realize after the fact, but it is what it is. I am going to use it. I'm running a carburetor for now, and so I use air fuel to tune the carburetor and make sure the engine's not going to get hurt once I fire it up. But it does help you know which way is up as far as tuning goes. So anyway, I have a little AEM gauge there, as you can see. It's just a cheapo, probably $120 deal. I know, yeah, that's cheap. But so here's where we're at. I've got these 3 twisted pair wires here. Oil pressure, or no, that's the speedometer input. This is directly from the trans sensor. This is water temp, obviously in the water pump, and then oil pressure. So these are basically twisted pairs. They have a power, ground, signal, and a drain. So that's actually really well thought out. So this all comes with the kit, so this all has to be obviously ran. And then from the American Autowire harness, I have basically all the wires that plug into your dash, like your right, left turn indicators, your high beam switch, your low beam indicator. All that stuff is right here that you would otherwise plug into the back of your gauge cluster. So that is it's not going to go into the back of the gauge cluster. That actually goes into this control box here. Up here, as you can see on the left side, all the way down the left side, and then you have basically outputs that you can set up here on the right side. So they have provisions for diesel, there's provisions for 4-wheel drive. So this actually doesn't just work on car stuff. These actually go to a lot of different applications, but obviously this one is for this car and package. So again, super expensive, but I think it was worth the money. Dakota Digital's always made really nice stuff in my experience. So enough of that. Let's get to wiring this thing. Hopefully I can get you guys a decent camera angle here. Oh, and then there's a little switch right here, which is what commands the dash, so you can set your parameters and whatnot. I found like this area right here was good to basically put the switch. So I just don't like drilling holes, so that was kind of already there. And then so yeah, there's some other integration that needs to be done here, but I have to get this stuff hooked up first. So I have run the wiring all into the car. Everything's here that I can think of. I haven't made a ground lug on the body in here yet. That's coming. I like to kind of put everything where it goes, and then once I'm done with that, all the wires are tidy and neat. I'll set my grounds, and there's several extra circuits in this American Auto Wire kit that actually do power seats, power windows, door locks. All that stuff has provisions on this kit, so there's plenty of extra electrical to go around. And I'm going to set this guy up so it gets a constant power for like the clock and stuff, so when the ignition is off, the clock basically doesn't have to have a memory. It needs a ignition signal, obviously, but there's no real main huge draw. There's no load or no serious load or substantial load to power this thing, so you really don't need to use a whole circuit. You can actually use a branch line with just 12 volt ignition signal, so just to power this thing up. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm gonna get set up here to get you guys a decent camera angle, and you can watch me wire this thing. I know, riveting. All right, so started. Forgot to mention, it's really important that these wires that are going to this controller are not ran adjacent to, near any sort of ignition source or high power or high voltage wires, like what would power my MSD box, the big power wires that go directly to the battery for my Vintage Air system, anything like that. So it takes a little bit of time and to be methodical with your routing of these wires, because they're just low voltage and they can get an interference signal quite easily, according to what I've read here. So as you can see, I've got my gas gauge input here, and I've connected it to the SIG, which is signal. So the pressure input would be oil pressure here, so I'm going to get my signal from that, and that's going to be a different wire altogether. This is obviously from the American Auto Wire harness, and then the pressure, like I talked about earlier, pressure input twisted pairs come with the system, so that would be oil pressure, and then temperature input also, and then the speed input. So those three guys are going to get the grouped harnesses. So let me pull these guys out here and get them cut back. And if you're OCD like me, you got to have them rounded correctly, and don't cut them too short, which I'm a fanatic about. So overall needs to end there, but I'm going to cut it here. Yeah, there's really no easy way to get in here. Try not to cut anything else. Trimming that down, and I'm having to mark these things again once they're in, so I don't lose my place. And down the line, if someone were to ever buy this car from me, I would hate to have them be scratching their heads. So I'm gonna have to relabel this guy with just masking tape for now as to what it is, and then I can continue on here. So this is a temp. So yeah, just like that. I cut the wrong one. That's all right. Just gotta get the shit off, which is kind of a pain. Something tells me I'm gonna have cut fingers after this. just not easy to do here. I was laying down in here and that wouldn't work, so now I'm sitting in the doorway on a stool, and that's not really working. I think I'm gonna have to just strip these guys back and see how that works. I don't want to damage the conductors here. Alright, that works, sorta. Okay. There's just no... And you know what's funny is I selected the spot for this box, thinking, oh, what a great place that'll be. Yeah. Just need I need 2 arms on my right side is what I need here. Just in order to do this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get comfortable here. Hold on. Well, things have escalated. Just can't fit in here, and it's becoming an issue. So I've resorted to pulling the wires back out and cutting the sheathing off of them in the hopes that it will be easier this way. You know, trying to hide stuff takes so much more effort than just putting stuff in and hope you don't notice it. But that's all right. We're gonna end up with a quality installation here. Hopefully this is small enough to strip. Not used to using these small wires here, but seem to be okay now. Yeah, and I had to pull the mark back off because I screwed up the end. So as you can see that happens. But I wish I had a label maker. I do not at the moment. This is coolant temp. So I'm just going to temporarily mark them with masking tape. And hope no one notices. I had a guy today. I was just looking at Instagram for 20 minutes or so, drinking coffee, and I looked at my DMs, and this guy had reached out to me in mid-November and said he was inspired by my videos, and he was building a 69 Charger, and he was literally mounting the thing on a rotisserie, and I was like so floored. I've not, this is a new channel, obviously we haven't been doing this for very long, but when I hear stuff like that, that is absolutely the reason why I do this. It's just to help people. I mean, we're probably going to stay small, we're never going to be huge, but man, that is so worthwhile doing. This is all worth doing when I hear stuff like that. And I reached out to the guy, and I was floored. Super humbled by that. But yeah, that was really cool. My body just doesn't bend like it used to. So back to struggle. And for those of you who don't know what a drain is, basically it's a wire that is solely there to prevent any sort of electrical interference. Now, not all these connectors have them. Well, I'm sorry, not all these wires have them, but certain ones do, like this oil pressure line does. So you may not have come across that in your travels on regular automotive style wiring. In fact, this is the first time I've come across it in this sort of realm. My background is in controls engineering, so it's pretty common in commercial building applications for automation. And hating myself for putting this here. We're gonna have a broken rib after this. Okay, that's good. Got that stuff handled. And just out to do our power, our ignition power, 12 volt constant power, chassis ground, tack wire, which I have here. But yeah, we're off to a good start. I'm happy with it. Hopefully this e-brake assembly doesn't chop it, but if I just put a zip tie up here, it should be fine. Just to keep it all in the back corner there. That was kind of the plan. But I think we're looking good.